Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. I'm your host Scott and back with me as always is my good friend Dan, and on this week's show we are speaking to Eva Okaro. Now before we get to Eva's conversation, we want to tell you guys that this week's episode is brought to you in partnership with One Flow Aquatics in Summer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camps on the Red Sea in Egypt, a place me and Dan have been to visit twice already so far this year. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in this podcast. But you can book your next training camp by following the link in the show notes of this podcast. So Dan, this week's episode is one that we personally have wanted to line up for a long time. Eva was the youngest member of Team GB at the Olympic Games. She is a little bit of a sprinting prodigy over here. We don't really get many of them because sprinting is still, I don't want to say frowned upon, but it's not celebrated like it is over in the States. She's going to be going over to the States in Texas, and there's so much that we wanted to chat with Eva about, and we did get to chat to Eva about.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing couple of years in the life of Eva Okaro, some massive lifetime bests, both in the 50 and the 100 free, representing GB for the first time at an Olympic Games out in Paris last summer, and soon, like you say, off to Texas Uni in the States, where I think she's going to have some huge improvements over there, as well as like life experience. Honestly, there's loads to chat about with Eva on this episode. World Junior record holder in the 50 free short course as well. We'll discuss it all, I'm sure.
Yeah, so let's jump into this week's episode, talking Repton, talking Sevenoaks, talking an injury that kept her out of the water for a long time, her recovery, youngest member of the Olympic Games, Eva Okaro. So Eva, you just finished training about half hour ago. It's late in the evening, things at Repton. We've spoken through it off the air. How are things with you?
No, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Everything's fine. I think training's definitely kind of picking up around trials and Edinburgh and stuff. But I'm looking forward to taper in a week or so. But yeah.
So if people aren't aware, before you got to Repton, I think it's where you've made a real name for yourself. You were at Sevenoaks. So how did Sevenoaks help you on your early swimming development and your journey to this point so far?
Well, I think a lot of it was, I'd say, talent, to be honest, because I used to train 4 or 5 times a week. And it kind of diminished to like 2-3 times a week, especially during my GCSEs, because like when I went to European Juniors that year, like I didn't perform how I wanted to, and I think that really showed. And also being in Sevenoaks, like I had a lot of different coaches because they used to like leave quite a lot. But I think like having Kieran at the end, like a steady coach to kind of get me through like European Juniors and stuff, and like training through GCSEs, like that was good. And yeah, he was experienced, like he was a good coach.
So obviously you're known as a sprinter. What stage do you start specialising as a sprinter? I'm assuming you needed to do the aerobic side as well as, but what stage did you start specialising?
Well, I think it was when I got picked for my first European Juniors. I think after that point, it was kind of more kind of sprint, distance and mid in like distance training, because at Sevenoaks, it was such a small club and we had quite a lot of people like in our top squad. And the coaches we had like, and the space in the pool, like the pool space we had, it wasn't a lot. So we all used to do kind of middle distance sets. But then once like I kind of became like an international swimmer, they realized that I needed, and like basically like some of the sprinters and some of the people that specialized in sprinting needed some more like discipline and specialized coaching, basically. So I think that's kind of when the sprint squad and sprint training started.
So how did the move to Repton help you then over the last year or so, and a little bit earlier than that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to balance school and swimming, it's helped a lot. And it's kind of kept the routine a lot more kind of step by step. So like I didn't have to miss training to like revise and do work and stuff for my exams. So that's helped a lot, and also travel to and from the pool, so I didn't lose like loads of time for my like school stuff and for my schoolwork. So I think it's helped a lot in that sense. So I don't really miss training sessions, so I can get the meters in.
Yeah, we literally had a podcast last week with Tyler Melbourne Smith, who talked about like coming through the age group system, and the biggest thing for him was finding a school that really helped him on that journey, who understood how many hours he needs to be put into the pool and be flexible around his studies. So obviously Repton is a fairly new swimming program in terms of swimming in this scene, but it's actually not a new sporting school. Like that, it's a fairly prestigious school for, I think, football is one of the main ones that it does. So how helpful is it having, it's teachers more than coaches, like teachers who understand what is needed to be a junior athlete and still succeed at school?
Yeah, I mean, the teachers are really considerate, especially at the beginning, they definitely were. Because, I mean, I think they have there are loads of England hockey players in the school, boys and girls, and then footballers as well. So I think the whole kind of sporting system in Repton is like really good at acknowledging that. And so's the kind of schooling aspect as well. So the teachers, like, they know and they understand.
What was Ash like like we know him from Hamilton Aquatics, we've spoken to him several times. What was he like as a coach, especially like supporting you in the lead up to your Olympic journey?
Yeah, no, he's really supportive, and I wouldn't say he's the most experienced, but he definitely knows his stuff. And I think it was nice to work with a coach who was definitely very dedicated and knows what they were doing. So I think that kind of like jump started my kind of discipline kind of towards the sport, and like towards swimming and school at the same time. Like it really helped, yeah.
And Jamie Main's just joined Repton now, and how's he for a coach? Has that all been any sort of change up at all?
To be honest, like I feel like when you get to a certain level, like as coaches, like it's all kind of quite similar. And especially for sprinting, like there's not much you can change. But I think he's very experienced and he also knows what he's doing. But I mean, like, yeah, it's fun to work with experienced coaches.
So let's flash back a little bit to last summer. So you were the youngest GB swimmer at the Olympics. What was that like as an experience for you?
I mean, it was really daunting at first. And like, I consider myself a pretty outgoing person, but I don't think I've spoken less in my life. It was, it was quite scary, to be honest. And like, just knowing I was on a team with some of the best in the world, especially in GB. And I think they were all really, really nice and like welcoming. So especially sharing a room in the village with the girls was like a big help, kind of just making friends and getting to know everyone a little bit better.
Sometimes staying in a village is like the biggest selling point of going to the Olympics for some. What does it mean to be able to call yourself an Olympian, especially at such a young age as well?
Yeah. I mean, even now, I don't think it's 100% like kicked in. Like, I don't know, it's kind of pressurizing, especially being the first black female swimmer in the pool for GB as well, just knowing that I inspire. I know that loads of young children look up to me. I think it is quite pressurizing, but at the end of the day, I feel like I can and want to be that role model for all of them. So I think, it's great.
So in a sense, it's not taken the pressure off. Like me and Dan always say, like the first Olympics is the hardest one because you've never been in that environment before. You don't know the media attention that's going to come with it. So, like you had a lot of media attention on you because of what you said. We'll get into that. But you don't think it's maybe taken the pressure off? Do you think it's maybe added in that sense then?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely added pressure. But I don't think it's I don't think it's bad pressure. I just think it's pressure to just be myself and be there for everyone.
Do you see yourself thriving in that sort of sense of responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I can definitely handle the pressure.
Yeah.
And as I said, like, I like being a role model,
Okay.
and being able to say, like, people look up to me. And I think it's great, yeah.
So for you then, being that role model, what do you think that means? So what do you think you need to do to inspire more black swimmers into the sport? I mean, that's a fairly big question, but
Yeah. Um, well, I just think I need to be myself and kind of just like I grew up not swimming with a lot of black people. Obviously, I had my twin sister
mm,
Izzy with me, and that was very helpful. And it was always nice to train with her and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like it's just being that, like, continuously being that representative to young black swimmers,
mm,
and not just black swimmers, but every young swimmer. I think it's quite nice to just see someone so young make an Olympic team or doing well. And I think that needs to just kind of be carried forward.
yeah, I think your reach goes beyond swimming as well, because like I saw you did an article with Vogue in the lead up to the Olympics, and
Yeah.
I mean, as people who campaign like tirelessly to try and get swimming into more spaces, do you kind of appreciate like how far that has reached already, like so far, so young into your career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I was 13 or 14 when I was interviewed for the Times. And I think, like,
Mm,
just things like that, I don't think have necessarily, I don't think I've wrapped my brain around how big that actually is.
sure.
But one day it will hit.
Have you received any messages from young black swimmers or any swimmers in general from after the Paris, even now potentially?
Yeah, I have. And I also got a lot of young swimmers follow me on Instagram.
Mm,
And also like comments on posts and stuff like that, like you're really inspirational and things like that. And I just think like it's just nice to kind of be that person that they look up to.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's almost like a fan base that not many
Yeah,
swimmers will ever get to it, even get to appreciate, let alone have in their own corner. I think it's a
yeah.
really good or powerful tool to have in your arsenal. Now, talking of the Vogue interview, I read in there that one of your proudest moments in your journey was overcoming your injury. So, what was the injury, if you don't mind sharing, and kind of how much and how long did it hinder your swimming for?
I tore my Achilles tendon,
Okay.
and I tore it by playing netball. Because I
Oh,
was
that sport is terrible, isn't it? Broken
yeah,
fingers. Jeez. Okay.
yeah, I was an avid netball player. I got on the it was like Team England juniors,
On like the
like
pathway, yeah.
futures, yeah, England futures pathway. And I mean, it was like a week or 2 weeks after that, I was playing a match and it just tore. So I only did one training session with that team. But I think
Okay.
kind of,
Oh,
yeah, the kind of journey to overcoming it was really tough just because I was out for, well, I got back in the pool. And I was just, like pulling and not pushing off the wall I was pushing off the wall with one foot and stuff like that. I got back in, I think, after 2 months. And then I think I started racing 4 months after the injury or 5 months after, or like training properly. I think like a year on from that injury, like I still had issues with my
Okay.
Achilles, to do with racing and stuff. Like after a race, like it would be throbbing, like I'd be in pain, I couldn't walk properly. But I think the journey also, kind of being out of the sport for that long, was quite tough. Kind of just having those thoughts going through your head, like everyone's training and progressing, like how long will it take me to get back, and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, like I was really fortunate and really lucky, to get back to where I was. I think it took me 2 years to get my PB
wow.
again, or two
Okay.
two and a half, something like that. But yeah, I think perseverance was just a really big thing, and like just believing in myself and believing that I could get back to where I was.
So what did you do to help recover? I assume there was lots of rehab. Have you done any certain exercises that you had to do?
I think it changed quite a lot, actually. It was more than I thought. I thought it would be one strict kind of rehab program. But it was quite varied, and that kind of kept me on my toes because it was like just, something new like every week, and like alternating kind of sessions and stuff. And I started because I never did S&C when I was in Sevenoaks. So that was kind of like the first time I kind of gone to the gym, and I was in there like 3 times a week doing rehab. And I mean, I think it just taught me like perseverance. It's just back to that, and like just the belief in myself.
I was going to say mentally, what did you do to get a 2 year span from not getting a PB? Like, how did you deal with that mentally?
Well, it helped a lot that I still was getting selected for teams. So like I was still selected for 2022 European Juniors. So that was like a trials is April, so it was like what uh November, December, January, February, March,
months?
April. Yeah, so it was 6 months after my injury.
Okay.
I raced at trials and I got selected for European Juniors. And I was nowhere near my PB or anything, but I think I still won 100 free and 50 free. So I still got selected. That definitely helped a lot because it just kind of kept me swimming and kept enjoying the sport. And then obviously I didn't perform how I wanted to at European Juniors. But luckily that's when they changed the years. So I could still go like that year and then the next year after. So it was quite nice. But like, I don't know, I think that definitely helped a lot.
It sounds like it set you up for a kind of full circle from what you started this conversation of the discipline that's needed for a professional swimmer, like a highly competitive professional swimmer. It almost like the rehab cycle and getting yourself back to the top of the junior level was almost what was needed.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely changed my like the way I think, and the way that I kind of persevere or move on, like through kind of tough times or like not getting the time that I want in a race, or being ill and not being able to recover, stuff like that. I think it definitely helped me like in my mental space, like to prepare for kind of situations that might occur.
Sure.
Is it fully recovered now, or is there still a little bit of power lost on the dive, for example?
I think I did some testing a while back, but I think there's definitely an imbalance strength wise.
Okay.
But it doesn't affect my swimming and it doesn't hurt anymore. So yeah, we're all good.
So like we said in the introduction of this podcast, this week's episode is brought in partnership with One Flow Aquatics Summer Bay in Egypt, which is the newest destination for elite and club training camps. Now, me and Dan have had the pleasure to go out to Egypt now, like we said, twice, I think, Dan, so far in 2025 when this podcast has gone live. We'll be back out there again. We've seen the amazing facilities on offer. We've seen some amazing training in action. I think the Dutch training camp that we were poolside for last time we were there was a
Good
pleasure.
one.
It was a pleasure, actually,
Yeah.
to see Peter Bishop in his new home with Dutch swimming.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you don't know, he's the Kyle Chalmers ex-coach. It is a training venue that has world-class clubs already going to visit. There's some amazing training happening, some amazing facilities, and actually, we just love our time there, don't we, Dan? We get thoroughly looked after. There's beaches, there's marinas, there's excellent food.
I was actually going to begin with the food because the food is really, it is top notch, and you know what I like. I like my food. And it's a big selling point, I'm not going to lie. The facilities are absolutely incredible out there. The pool is Olympic size, it's deep, but the food really is standout. And of course, if you're going there to train and you need that sort of nutrition in, yeah, you can't beat it. The food is amazing. I think the sea platter was pretty good.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. So, if you're interested in booking your next training camp, you can do so with renowned sports booking agency Sports Abroad using the link in the description of this podcast. And if you've got any questions, if you want to know about our own experiences there, if there's any information that are not on the Sports Abroad website, like I don't know, you want to know how long it takes to walk from the hotel to the pool, let us know on our social medias. We can discuss our own personal experiences of Summer Bay, and hopefully we'll see you guys out there soon, because, you know, if there's some British clubs out there, we'll be out there filming some content.
Yeah.
Okay then, so for the next steps in your swimming career, you've announced that you'll go in, or you've chosen to commit to University of Texas. Now, Bob Bowman's obviously leading the program there, but what factors influenced your decision to swim out in the States and in Texas?
Well, I think the most influencing factor is just kind of, as you, like, from the age of 13, after European Juniors 2021, I was getting messages from unis. And I think that just kind of idea of, like, kind of, we want you to come to our program, you know, things like that. I think that really kind of gets you going, and it's just like, oh, well, there is, like, a future for this, like, for swimming, and a career ahead of me. And it's kind of like, where do I want to kind of better myself and spend my years, especially with a program that say they want you and they can help you and stuff like that. Because I think that's something the UK doesn't do. Because especially for young athletes, especially like in sixth form, like knowing that they're going to be looking for unis, I think the UK should definitely kind of do some sort of like reaching out to them or something,
It's like
because
recruitment program.
yeah, kind of. But like just knowing that they're interested, because I think a lot of young athletes are definitely, swimmers and just athletes in general, are looking to go to the US just because of that kind of want factor that they get from the unis.
Yeah, do you think there's a almost complacency in this country that the universities think they want to come to us, if that makes sense? Like, they don't
left for
need to
assuming.
go out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I never went to university for sport, but knowing I had to go out and find the university programs, none of them came and like put flyers around school and stuff
Yeah.
like that to say, come to us. Essentially, it's very.
Yeah.
I don't know, I know the American system is a lot more in your face in terms of we want
Yeah.
you, and obviously that everyone wants to feel wanted. Maybe that's
Yeah.
something that doesn't happen enough over here.
Yeah, I think they are slightly complacent, but I also don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
Okay.
They still get like a load of really good swimmers and athletes, I mean, from everywhere. So, I mean, something's obviously working, but I just think that, yeah, I think they could be a little bit more forward, maybe.
So what did Texas do to entice you to go there rather than anywhere else in the States?
Well, I mean, I think, like, when I went to visit, I think the atmosphere and the vibe just really stuck with me. And I think it's just a place that I could see myself being, like, being there. And I think 4 years is a really long time. It's really far away from home, you know. But I think I like the vibe, and I thought that I'd get on there, yeah.
How many
But
other
I think
unis did you go to?
Only two. I only
Okay.
visited Texas and UCLA. Well, I mean, UCLA a while back.
Okay.
And I really liked that. I like the location a lot. But I think at the end of the day, especially after the Olympics, I was like, I think I want to go somewhere that has a stronger program. Just for my sake, like, I want to be somewhere where I can be pushed, and there are people better than me that I can train with and race against. So I think that was kind of the main deciding factor.
I mean,
Is it the coach that pushes you more, or the swimmers that you train with?
Definitely the swimmers.
Okay.
I
So
think
there's a
I'm very
fact that-
competitive, and
Like with-
I think,
Okay. So with Bob Bowman
Yeah.
being there, that's not really a fact that's gone through your mind at all.
well, I mean, he coaches the men's side, so no, not really.
Okay. Okay.
if the opportunity was to come about for younger swimmers who are getting the messages from the States, what advice would you give them Maybe specifically like about the recruiting process and choosing which universities to go visit.
Well, I mean, I think that family and like where you want to go plays a big part, because I think it definitely depends on what you want for the next 4 years of your life. I mean, 4 years is a really long time. So I just feel like it's to do with location. And also your family can definitely help you make that decision. Like my parents and my sister were a big part of it. And I just think keep your options open, don't commit to anything too soon.
Sure.
And definitely like visit kind of unis so that you can get an idea and like a difference and see a difference between the unis. And also the US, like they always say we can better you like your performance. We've got everything. But I think you really need to look into kind of what the coach's experiences, who they've coached to the level you want to be coached like to. Because I think a lot of them say like, we've got this, we've got that, but at the end of the day, it's what works for you and what kind of experience that they have.
So what did your parents and your sister also say about what did they say to think? What did they say that made Texas the place to go? What was the encouragement?
Well, I went to visit Texas with my dad, and he really liked it. So did I. But I just think at the end of the day, like it's initially my decision, and I just think that at the end of the day, like it's just where I wanted to go and where I felt could better my performance the most.
Okay. So if we talk about performances and improving performance this summer, then as we look, let's look toward champs. So last year in London, you went sub 25 for the first time in the 53, if I remember correctly. What's the aim this April?
This April, well, I personally just want a PB. Okay. For me, I'm like quite a step-by-step kind of person. So I think I don't like to put that much pressure on myself. I don't really get nervous, but I'm just quite a chill person. So I feel like just kind of aiming for a PB, working on the turns, the breakouts, the underwaters, like in training, and trying to nail that in the race. I think that's my main priority.
I mean, you've come off a world junior record in the 53 short course. Do you reckon you can translate it to the long course pool as well?
I sure hope so. I think the way training's going and kind of getting an idea of rates and times 15s into 25, like I think will definitely give me the upper hand going into trials.
Ahead of getting towards trials, then let's ask a few quick-fire questions so that people can get to know you that tiny bit better. So what is your favourite event in swimming?
I do like the 53, but I think the 100 free is more rewarding. It's just a longer race. So I feel like if you, I don't know, maybe mess up or get something wrong, you can definitely push and try to rectify it.
Makes sense.
Understand that. Who is your swimming idol?
Probably Sarah Sjöström.
Nice. What is your proudest moment in swimming so far?
I probably picked two. So the first one would be 2021 bronze at European Juniors. Mainly just because it was my first kind of main international competition and everyone just kind of thought I was going for the experience. That was quite nice. And definitely the world junior record.
Nice.
Oh, not being an Olympian for the first time. That's interesting.
Well, I feel like I I didn't really get to do much, you know. So
Okay.
I feel like the experience was great, but I think there's a lot more where that came from.
Nice attitude to have. What's your hardest set you've ever done in training?
Probably 1650s max, I'd say.
Ooh. Off.
Suited, yeah. Well, 4 off I think it was 4 minutes, 4 off 3 minutes, 4 off 2 minutes, 4 off 1 minute.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, where did you do that?
Yeah. Literally just here in Repton.
oh man, that's horrible.
Dear, oh dear.
That is
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Fantastic to have Eva on this podcast, even if we had a few technical difficulties at the end. So if you're watching on YouTube, I think the quality of the video might have gone a little downhill for the last 10 minutes, and we didn't manage to ask Eva who would go on her road trip. Maybe we'll catch her poolside at British Champs to see what the answer to that question would be. But a thoroughly honest conversation, like in patches, brutally honest, but I loved it.
Yeah, honestly, a lot to take away there. The fact that she said that she was, the main word came out for me was discipline. She said it, I don't know how many times, but all the way through her journey, she's always kept the discipline, and that's probably the reason why she's got to the stage that she is, and she's the fastest junior swimmer ever, short course. Things are going quite well, and she's kind of dotted around clubs, like we said, Sevenoaks, Repton. Now she's going to go off to Texas, and not too bothered by coaches, I would say, but it's just who she trains with, trying and keep up with the best swimmers, basically, to try and push her on and become the best version of herself.
It's really interesting. It's interesting to me because we have the conversations on here. We ask swimmers, what's your relationship like with your coach? But maybe in the future episodes that we get elite swimmers on, we should say, what's your relationship like with your squad? Like, what is that squad doing to drive you on? Because me and you have seen it. We've been to the elite centres. I think the most recent one that I went to was Dave Hemmings in Loughborough. And that is it's a formidable family that drive each other on. While we say like the swimmer and the coach celebrate success, I think it's much more the swimmer and the swimmers like, around each other. You obviously see it at the Olympic Games, loads and loads, but to hear Eva say, actually for her it doesn't matter who's writing the sessions. For her it's about the training environment, who's in that lane with her, who's in that lane next to her. I get it. I really do. And for me, actually, it was really interesting to hear Eva say the reason she wanted to go to the States or she wanted to go to America is because she wanted to feel wanted. Now, I'm not overly comfortable with the universities from the States speaking to her when she was the age of like 14, 15 and starting to make offers to her there. I think that's slightly ridiculous, and I hope that doesn't happen in this country. What maybe does need to happen is performance centres, universities, maybe just need to beat their drum a little bit harder and say, please come here. This is what we're about. We want you to come here. Like it's not a very British thing.
It's opening a dialogue, I think, is probably the main thing. Yeah.
It's not a British thing to like we struggle to do it, just to celebrate your own achievements and just to...
Well, it comes across as bragging, I suppose, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But actually, it is the whole recruitment thing in America is we want you to do this here. I don't know, maybe she would have stayed here in the UK if, I don't know, someone else could have stood up the loudest, but...
I think it's the same old story. It's once a uni comes shouting, or once a uni comes calling, and we can offer you this and that, and we can pay for all of this, free education. It's like very difficult to turn down. Like if I was in that boat, it's so difficult to turn down. Life experience for her, and I think she's going to go a long way going there. And all the best to her. We'll see her at Champs anyway. So we'll see how she goes.
I'm going to put you on the spot then, with Champs just over a month away when this episode goes out. Actually, less than a month. Wow, that's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Does Eva Okaro do the 50 and 100 double at Champs?
I think she gets the 50, and then the 100 is a little bit closer. You could throw in for Anderson.
That's why I said the double. This is why I wanted to put you on the spot.
You could put potentially Evie Davis in there, someone like that. I'm going to go with yes. Let's go with yes. She's going to do the double.
Okay, early predictions here on the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. We'll bring loads more predictions as we head toward British Championships over the next few weeks, and of course do our customary preview episode as well. Won't be as long as last year where we kept you guys around for like 2.5 hours. We're not going to talk every single race every single day, but lots of previewing on the way. After I've just spent a weekend in Edinburgh seeing where everyone's at. Exciting times. Dan, that just about rounds up this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please do so on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And we will see you in 7 days' time.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.